Welcome everyone to Investing Now. This is my new channel covering topics such as investing and financial management, and I will be covering platforms such as M1 Finance, Robinhood, Stash, and Acorns. As any other platforms come online or I am currently unaware of, I will cover those as well, since this topic is crucially important to becoming financially independent and eventually realizing financial freedom. So the first platform I'm going to cover is M1 Finance. The reason why I like M1 Finance so much is because it is free to invest. You do not have to put in any payment information. It does not charge you a monthly fee. It is free. Even trades are free. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Of course, I will skip over this part. On the left-hand side, you'll see what M1 Finance calls a pie. And this is my main portfolio, though at this moment it is my only portfolio. As I scroll over each section, you'll see the company that I am invested in and the percentage of the pie that it takes up, or at least in relation to the rest of it. You'll notice that there are some oddities here where there are some that are larger than others. Now, the same thing can be seen down here on the bottom right. These are what my slices consist of. And as you can see, I am currently invested in, well, if you don't know, a lot of these are REITs or real estate investment trusts. And as you can see, I own about the same amount of money in each one. $34 over here, 30, 29, 27, and so on. So you'll notice that I more than likely, actually, I can't own a whole share of most of these companies, especially Amazon, which is currently at $1,700 a share at the time of filming. But this is where the power of M1 Finance comes into play. You can buy fractional shares. So the good thing about this is that you can invest in all of the big companies, the companies that the big boys invest in, the companies that have great profit earnings ratios, that have a steady dividend payout, and so on. This is why the M1 Finance platform is so much better, in my opinion, than others such as Robinhood or Stash or Acorns. I believe Stash is going to do something like that, although at this point in the video I am not 100% sure. But still, M1 Finance has got my vote at this moment. Now, the other thing about M1 Finance is that sooner or later there will be a bank account associated with it, which they call M1 Spend. At this moment, it is open for reservations. I would not suggest opening an account just yet, as they do require a $50 annual fee for their M1 Plus account. Personally speaking, unless you are one of the few viewers that make a lot of money, I would suggest not signing up for that just yet, especially considering that it is not available to anyone yet. Personally, I would not want to spend $50 on a reservation. Now, you'll notice on the top here, there is an activities tab. You'll notice this is the deposits that I have made. Although I have made $100 deposits and a $500 deposit, it did not invest the full $100. And as you can see here, it only invested $99.96, leaving 4 cents this week. And The second week, it invested $100.01, leaving me with a grand total of 3 cents in my cash account here. The next one is the holdings tab. This is just an expanded view of what you saw on the main screen, plus a couple of extras, such as the amount of shares that I currently own. As you can see here, these are all fractional shares for the most part, or all of them have fractions or a fractional part of a full share, with the addition of Gladstone Land Corporation, which I do own 2.7 shares of Gladstone, 4.1 of Hexo, and I believe those are the only ones I own at least one whole share of. The next column here is the average price. This is the price of the stock at this moment. Cost basis, this is the amount I paid for those shares, and this is the current value of said shares. The next tab here is the cash account. This is how you fund your account, where you deposit and withdraw. You'll notice here I have the 3 cents cash balance. Now, in this portion, you can choose to auto invest any amount greater than $10. You can also set it to auto invest after any amount you set, or you can set it to not auto invest at all. It's really up to you. Now, if you want to do some research on any stock before you add it to your portfolio, you can click on research here on the top, which will take you to some news stories, just depending on what's important to you. Personally, I haven't seen these news stories really relate to me because I am not a day trader or even a swing trader on the M1 platform. I invest money and I leave it. So these headlines really mean nothing to me. If you want to research the stock, just type it in up here. I'm going to choose AMD. And you can see your historical performance, profit earnings ratio, dividend yield if there is one. Most, if not all, REITs have dividend yield. This is what I personally like to have in my investment portfolio, is I want to be paid dividends. You can change the date range of the stock. See the historical performance up to 5 years. Short profile and the latest news with this particular stock in mind. You can also choose to invest in funds. For the beginner, I would probably choose a Vanguard ETF. Vanguard S&P 500 here would probably be the best bet. But in all honesty, I would do your research. I will cover more specifics at a later time. At this point, I'm just trying to cover M1 Finance. But we can go over individual stocks or investment portfolios at a later time. Speaking of investment portfolios, I will put a link to my portfolio in the description, along with a link to my referral code, which if you use it, M1 Finance will gift us both $10 to invest into our accounts for free. So not too bad. Now, once I click on my pies, you'll see that I have two portfolios here. I have a portfolio that I want to delete. I don't want to have two different portfolios. For me, it is enough to have one highly diversified portfolio here. Maybe later on, when I am much richer, I can open up multiple portfolios. But at this point, it's enough with one. Now the difference here is once I open up my portfolio, it will show me the performance of the stocks that I have in my portfolio over the allotted time. I don't believe it goes any more than 3 years. For one reason or the other, I'm not certain yet. But as you can see, 3 years and 5 years is the same. I haven't figured that out. If anybody does know, can you please comment and let me know. But as you can see, over the course of 1 week, I went down 0.4%, which is kind of odd. I am in a positive or positive net gain on my portfolio, but maybe just over the last week it went down a little bit, but that's okay. In the last month, it has gone up 3%. Now this is as if you were starting with $100. Personally, I have not gone too far into researching this. It does give you your performance based on $100. Why that is, I'm not entirely sure, but at the very least, it gives you a way to see your performance over the course of the last month, quarter, year, or 3 years. So all in all, my portfolio isn't too bad. It is at 18.54% gains over the course of 1 and 3 years. As you scroll down, you'll see the holdings. So this is the number of companies that I currently own shares of and the average dividend yield of all of them. So some of them are higher, some of them are lower, but in general, it is 3.331% dividend yield. And this is all of the slices that I have in my pie. Okay. Now, you can compare these to your portfolio to expert pies. So let's say you want to view income earners, which is high dividends, right? You can see the holdings, for instance, it's 3 holdings per, so bank balance sheet, domestic dividend. You see the dividend yield here, the risk factor, and you can change the time range of each one of these. As you can see, most of them, let's see, there's a couple here, domestic dividend, which over the last 3 years has gone up 41.5%, which if you go back and look at my portfolio, this is looking pretty good. Although this is higher risk, this is still pretty good increase in gains. Now you can click in it and see what it consists of. So you can see 83% of it is the Vanguard dividend appreciation. Let's scroll down here. Vanguard dividend appreciation, Wisdom Tree US Mid Cap Dividend Fund, and Small Cap Dividend Fund. So this is also very highly diversified as well. You can see here, this is a profile, and it says the domestic dividend pie provides exposure to U.S. companies with larger than average dividend distributions. Now it does say larger than average, although the dividend yield is 1.97%. The percentage gains, as you can see, has been quite a bit compared to my pie or portfolio. All right, and the next one here is the watch list. So you can add as many as you want to your watch list. So anytime you feel that you might want to add or remove from your portfolio, you can do the research and add them to your watch list. So at that point, if you say, okay, I heard some bad news from Apple and some good news from Alibaba, I'm going to go ahead and remove Apple from my portfolio and add Alibaba. If you're highly diversified like I am, it doesn't make that much of a difference since I'm in it for the long haul. But if you are only invested in 2, 3, or 4 companies, you might see the benefit of divesting from one and into another. And there you have it, your intro to M1 Finance. If anybody watching this video is looking to invest any amount of money, I highly suggest this platform as it is simple to use and it allows you to invest with the big boys, meaning you can invest in the same stocks they are, not limited by your income. I will be covering the platform in more detail in the upcoming videos, including the spend and borrow sections. But like I said at the time of this filming, the spend account is not available. Once it is available, I will cover it and more likely sign up for an account with them as well to show you what it is all about. Remember, if you do like this video and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. And do not forget about my referral code in the description, as it will benefit us both because M1 Finance will give us $10 to invest for free. You can't beat that unless it was a lot more. Thank you very much and take care.